Good morning guys, today we're solving three-way partitioning. So in three-way partitioning what we can see is like you will be first given three arrays, right? It's like three arrays, sorry, you will be given one array and you have to partition the array in such a way that three sub-arrays can be formed, and after forming the sub-arrays there is some condition. You have to form the sub-arrays, you have to merge the array and give the possible and correct arrangement. So I have tried this with a array list, but currently the array list is not working. So I would like to know like how can this array list be implemented? Although it is not advised to solve with array list, but it can be solved in a pretty easy, like pretty simple array with like swapping the elements. So this can be easily done by that method. But array list is giving the correct answer, although, but still it is still not working. So let's before learning the short like easy way, let's see what the array list has done. So first we have to take one array as 1 2 3 3 3 4. Suppose this is the user defined array, and then you have to see that a and b are the two lower bounds and upper bounds present. So the order of the arrangement should be such that for the first you have to, in the first place of a new array, only those elements will be placed which are lesser than 1, then the elements which are greater than 1 and lesser than 2 from this array, and finally the elements which are greater than 2. So you can see lesser than 2 is 1 and greater than 2 is 3 3 4. Similarly, if you see this arrangement 1 4 3 6 2 1, the elements which are lesser than 1 is nothing, but lesser than 3 is 1. Like the arrangements which is lesser than 3, you can see is 1 3 and 2, and then we have to put the elements which is lesser than and equals to, I guess, yeah, in the range 1 2 b. So next we have to put those elements which are greater than 3, which is 4 and 6. So if you return, the output arrangement will be 1. So similarly you can see very clearly that first all elements smaller than a comes first, then all elements in range a to b come the next, and lastly all the elements greater than b come in the end. And the individual elements of the three sets can appear in any order. You are required to return the modified array. If the order is successfully generated, we can create the output as 1. So what you can see I have done is, first I have defined a class three-way partitioning, then I've taken a static int three-way partitioning object which is having an int data type, and now we are taking array list as the array list arr as the input parameters, n as the size, and a and b as the two constraints. Now I'm initializing three array list: less than a, which will store the elements lesser than a; between a and b, store the elements between a and b; and lastly greater than b, which will store the elements which are greater than b. So we have to learn a root, and then we have to take arr.geti to get the elements present in the array. Now we have to check if the present element is lesser than a, then less than a dot add num. So basically we are adding the elements to the first array which is less than a. Similarly, we will do the else if condition. If num is greater than a and num is less than b, we will add them. And lastly, we are going to add those elements which are greater than b. And then we are going to call the inbuilt functions, which is arr.addAll to add. First, we are going to clear the array, so it will be a blank array. Then we are going to add all those elements to the array list. And since this is successful, we will return 1. And in the driver function, what I've done is I've taken the size, I have taken the elements inside this array, and then I've taken the input of the a and b, and then created an object of three-way partition, and in the parameter I have passed all those values. So if the result is 1, then I have set the modified array and have printed the modified array, or else I have failed to print the modified array. Like this I have solved the problem using array list. And whenever I'm trying to execute the problem using array list, you can see you will get a successful compilation. So usually like in the interviews, you can see that it's giving a successfully compiled output, but in the interviews or in the coding test, you will see the test cases are not passing. Same thing happened over here. You can see the test case is not working for multiple answers. So it is saying if the value of m is 15, if the value of m is really large, the output should be different. The output should be different. The output should be 1, but the output of this code is giving 0. So array list is not working in that case. So what we are going to do now? We are going to use a simple method known as the swapping of the array. So first I'm going to delete this part. Yeah. So basic thing I have to take is like in this function the size, yeah, because the size is not defined. So I can define the size as int n equals to arr1 dot length. Okay, after defining the size, what I can do next is I can start the element, right? So starting point will be 0, will be 0, and int end equals to will be n minus 1. So I can say it as the last minus 1, or the last element minus 1, because n is our length. Start is the starting index. I can write it as starting index. Once the end is created, we're going to run a loop. So int I 0 to n. Inside the loop, basically I'm going to check is like, see, I can't start with like 0, right? Because I've already taken start. So what new modifications I can do? So I can increase the counter later on. I can put it as end, and I can initialize this as start. So once our start and end is defined, what we can do is like um, this value of the start will also change. So we can create an if condition that if the array of I is lesser than the given, which is a, then what we are going to do is we are going to swap. In the swap we are going to pass arr I and start. Once swapping is done, we are going to increase the loop counter and the start value. So this was our if condition. Sorry, this was the if condition. What next we can do is like for the same way we have to do the else if, right? So this will be the else if. There will be an else if. The else if will take the value of arr of I is greater than a, and arr of I is like, you know, the first one will be lesser than a, right? So the second one has to be like greater than wait. So the second condition what we can do is arr of I has to be greater than b. So once the array is initialized to b, we can again call the swap function before. So swap of, so what can we call in the swap function, right? So arr I and b, we have to swap end minus minus, because now our end is getting reverse. We are decreasing the value of else what we can do, we can increase the counter. So in the else block I am increasing the counter, and then we are going to close the loop, and if this condition is satisfied, then we are going to return 1, or uh, yeah, sorry, so we are going to return 1. Let us see, yeah, the method is complete. Let's try. Yeah, let's submit this solution. So we have successfully completed 31 days in our channel, and 63 days of doing Geek for Geeks. Today we get a bonus 8 Geek for Geeks because of the 8-day streak. So yeah, I would like you to subscribe to my channel and follow me for more amazing tricks on arrays, dynamic programming, and questions on lead code and GFG. Thank you.